right, thank you very much. I would like to welcome everyone to the Xenia City Council regular meeting for Tuesday, November 22nd. We moved the meeting from Thursday to Tuesday to accommodate the Thanksgiving holiday. We will have an invocation tonight led by Jeremiah Bird of SOS Ministries, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you could all please rise.
Heavenly Father, we come before you through your Son, Jesus Christ. We ask for your blessings to be upon this meeting tonight. We thank you, Father, for us being able to celebrate what we are thankful for this week. And we are thankful for a lot. We are thankful for salvation. We're also thankful for the city of Xenia and the city council and the ones who make decisions for us, Lord, for the city as we go forward. I ask, Father, that you will give them wisdom in every decision that they make. And we just thank you, Father, for the ones who are here tonight, Lord, and the ones that couldn't be with us. And we ask for your blessings upon this city. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. Hello. All right, we'll give Councilman Scrivens just a minute to get his seat. Thank you, Mr. Bird, for that invocation. And at this time, I will call our meeting to order. And ask for a roll call. Thank you.
Vice President Urschel?
Here.
Councilman Scrivens?
Here.
Councilwoman Dean? Here. Councilman Branham?
Here.
Councilman Dean? Mayor Mace? Here. President Smith?
Here. I received a text this morning from Councilman Dean that he is unable to be here today due to an illness. At this time, I'll make a motion to excuse him and seek a second.
I'll second.
Seconded by the mayor. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Vice President Urschel?
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens?
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean? Councilman Branham?
Aye.
Mayor Mace?
Aye.
President Smith?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We have no special presentations scheduled for this evening, so we'll move into audience comments. This is the portion of the meeting that anyone in the audience would care to come and address City Council. If you could come to the podium, we would ask that you give us your name and address for the record. Limit your comments 2 to 3 minutes, please. And keep it in mind, this one is, we do have a public hearing tonight. It's our second item under old business regarding enacting Chapter 251 titled Funds. So that's our only public hearing tonight. So if you'd like to speak on any topic, now's your opportunity to do so.
Is this supposed to be 2 to 3 minutes?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
2 to 3 minutes.
Yes, 2 to 3 minutes. Go ahead.
I can't do it 2 to 3 minutes, so I'll have to make another appointment to see you either off, another time or whatever.
Okay. So normally audience comments are limited to 2 to 3 minutes, most meetings.
Let's do some more.
Yeah, we can give you a few extra minutes based on what your topic's about. If you'd like to come forward tonight, looks like you are prepared to speak to us, so go ahead.
I just wanted to follow up from the last meeting. I know, there's been a lot of, is this close enough? Okay. A lot of.
Excuse sir, name and address, just for the
Greg
record.
Richardson, 2100 Lakeview. Okay, there's been a lot of stuff going on about the maintenance over the summer of the fields and stuff. Cody, you and I met. We met with Brian and stuff like that. And, I know it's been recently in the paper and stuff. And I wanted to let you guys understand we're not crazy about that frustration. And I guess I looked around and I looked at the website from Xenia, okay, and it starts out, explaining that the property's supposed to be maintained, no, within 8 inches for the first 50 feet, and then after that it gets cut twice a year, once around April, once in September, okay? And that hedges and all that kind of stuff are cut and maintained reasonably, okay? And I went around and I read that, and it doesn't want to have blight or all the things that we talked about in the neighborhood, okay? And I think everybody in here would agree to that, okay? That want to keep it right. So, in trying to work with Cody and trying to work with Brian and trying to work with everybody, people in the neighborhood, I kept hearing there's no violations. There never were any violations, nothing that the city could follow up on. So I took pictures, okay? I have plenty of copies for all of you, okay? It's supposed to be 50 feet back from that fence. It's supposed to be cut within 8 inches. I'd be more than happy. It's maybe a couple passes of a lawnmower, okay? The front entrance, and this is another story that's interesting, because in Judd coming out to look at the situation back a couple weeks ago and see if there were violations, he got to talking to me. He was nice. He called me back and let me know there were no violations. But here's the front entrance back in the summer. Now the community's cleaned it up since, okay? But those aren't flowers. Those are weeds, some of them taller than me, okay? I think that goes to probably blight, but I could be wrong. But anyway, in doing that, and that's on as you're coming in Wright Cycle Boulevard, okay? Come to find out, I don't know if this is true or not, because this is real confusing, okay? I think Mike and Bernard worked a deal, and we were told that now the church owns this. Well, Ed Bell, he's not here today. I think a lot of you know Ed Bell that lives down at Wright Cycle, at least some of you, okay? He went to the church to see maybe the community and the church could work together to keep it going. And at least the church told him they don't own that. So now Judd assured me that when whatever deal they worked over there with Bernard and Mike, okay, they do own it, but the church doesn't know they own it. So that's kind of a confusing situation. And then, there's the median in the middle with, you can look, I'll leave these up here, you can pick them up, a whole bunch of weeds again and stuff like that. So, I mean, I don't want to be a horse's you-know-what, okay? But the people in the community, and here's the north entrance, which isn't as bad, but the shrubs are, now the community took care of that here recently too, okay? If you read the website and you read the rules and you see what's here, which I think is pretty straightforward evidence, it's confusing to the people in Wright Cycle, and even myself, okay? This is like Majorca saying, the border's secure, okay? And you watch the nightly news and you see it isn't secure. So I don't know what's going on, but that's what's causing all the aggravation. Now I recognize Bernard's gonna develop next year, okay? And a lot of the weeds that are back there and go away and all that kind of stuff. But that's what's been causing the situation. And I've also heard, okay, that...
Okay, so not to interrupt you, we're at 5 minutes.
Okay.
So how about if I give you 1 more minute to
Okay.
wrap up, okay?
I've also heard, it's difficult in Xenia, it's a whole lot different than Centerville or different places, okay? And so here's our enforcement codes and policies and stuff. And they're not too much, I mean, they're not rigorous, they're pretty nice, okay? But then you go to something obviously substantially more substantial. This is Centerville, multiple times more things, obviously cover a lot of things. We're not Centerville, I know that, okay? But then you go to Bellbrook, okay? And Bellbrook still has pretty good, property maintenance and code stuff. So we just wanted it to look good this year, okay? And we didn't want to get like Mayorkas, well, the border's safe, okay? When it wasn't. So hopefully it all gets corrected next year, but, and if anybody wants copies of those pictures, I'll be happy to give them to you, because I can't see how you can look at it and say there were no violations.
All right, thank you very much. This time, anyone else who would like to come and address City Council, we are under audience comments at this time.
Yes. Yes, my name is Michael Jolly. I live at 1927 Lakeview. I'm going to answer all the questions that have been raised. First of all, I'm going to give you a brief history of Right Cycle Estates. It was started about 15, 20 years ago, started by Norm Fear, the Phillips family, and the Davis person. Mr. Fear died. It developed that it went to Davis and the Phillips family. There was no tiebreaker. Lex Cycle languished for 3 years. Norm Fear was a good friend of mine. He just didn't understand good quality development. There was no HOA involved. The restrictions and covenants are what I call an anything goes restrictions and covenants. I just spent like $8,000 on a fence and juniper trees to obscure an above-ground pool. Above-ground pool, 6-foot-high white fences, windmills, they're all okay in Right Cycle Estates. Now, Mr. Niederman bought the ground at Borders Right Cycle Estates at an auction. Went to auction, the tiebreaker was an auction. Mr. Niederman bought it at an auction. He did not buy Right Cycle Estates. He did not buy into any of their covenants and restrictions, which is, I said, of little value anyway. The question that the gentleman just raised about, I looked at it appears that he owns the strip of property along there. I have no idea how that happened, but he apparently owns, and there's some kind of an easement. What I would recommend to the homeowners out there, and I'm a homeowner there, we get together, we get money in the thing, we take care of the damn things ourselves. The Right Cycle Estates entrances mean nothing to Mr. Niederman. He is going to develop another group piece of ground. Be moved to them. I'm going to advise him to not even name it Right Cycle Estates. I'm going to advise him to, whether he does it or not, to have a whole new set of covenants and restrictions, to have a homeowners association, because I'm a big one on aesthetics. We had a gentleman last week that talked about that he didn't know what was going on. My number, my sign, have been out there for 6 months. I'm building beautiful homes down there. They're all brick homes. And there's going to be 5 of them. They didn't mention that all the ground that I had Mr. Niedermeyer rezone was commercial. They could have had a McDonald's down there. Now, most of the people I've gone to in Right Cycle Estates have applauded me. A few, I have no idea what their problem is. I got them commercial land rezoned, beautiful residential land, and I'm building 5 beautiful all brick houses. Now, what Mr. Niedermeyer does, and the other thing they said, what's he going to do? The market's going to determine what you do with that ground. We do not have less than 63-foot frontage on any lot there. Centerville, somebody brought up Centerville. Centerville has got 51-foot lots that they're building on, okay? Centerville's like in Centerville schools and things like that. So what he does with those lots is totally up to him. It will be dictated by the market. The market, if you go out and look at it now, is a bunch of houses with a little stick-on-stone siding and things like that. And that may eventually come to being. But right now, all they got to do is look on high-wheel drive, and they'll see the type of houses that I like to build, and they'll see the church I gave the rest of the property to. The church was involved in a leasehold with the Phillips kind of thing. The leasehold provided that they would, at the end of May this year, they would be either purchase the house and the land, or be given the opportunity to receive it as a gift and to move it. The attorneys got involved. I followed Mr. Niedermeyer. I told him don't do this. And then attorney talked about it. Finally, attorney sent the church a letter saying, we give you the property, move it. So I know Pastor Dan. I emailed him and I said, I don't want to really scare the hell out of you, but really I do. You don't want to move an all brick house on a basement. He and a board member came to my house the next morning. I worked out a deal. They would purchase the thing. They would be given the rest of the land, which was sandwich land behind the residential land. He would get a tax write-off for charitable reduction. It worked out well. So the church was happy, he was happy. As far as the entrances, and I don't know if Mr. Niedermeyer paid me for it, I told the gentleman here that I was gonna mulch them and I was gonna do something. They're being mulched today. I don't know how much he got done. I don't know if he'll pay me for it. I hope he will. If not, I'll take care of it. But I think that what they could do, they have a management association, which is what I call feckless. It has no power to do anything. Somebody could build a 10 6-foot high white fence. We've been rewarded by getting it down to zoning and going to go with nice house by 2 people putting up prison yards. Somebody called it prison yards. Ugly, white, 6-foot high fences. So that's something we got to deal with. But what Right Cycle Estates should do, they should form a group of people. I'll be happy to do it. I'll contribute probably a lion's share. And we'll get somebody to take care of the entrances, mow the damn grass, and make everybody happy. Thank you.
Thank you,
I
Mr. Jolly.
don't know if I went longer than 6 minutes
You
or not.
did, but that's, all right. All right, so this time, anyone else that would care to come to the podium, address city council on any issue tonight? This is audience comments for the entire meeting, so thank you.
I'll sign you aboard here in just a second. My name is Connie Nealis, and I live at 2015 Lakeview. It would appear to me, in sitting and listening to the last couple meetings that I've been at, we have 2 separate issues. We have the issue of building and what's going to go on with building. And although I am pleased that we rezoned some commercial property to residential, I am concerned that we will lose the feel of the community. The community is a very special place to live, and the neighbors there are very special people. Everybody helps each other, everybody's nice. It's a safe community, it's a nice community. And I'm concerned that with economics and the fact that perhaps we want to do smaller lots and we want to do smaller houses and we want to do this and we want to do that because the economy won't support continuing the plat the way it is, that we will lose the feel of what's going on. And that's just my opinion, but it's what I'm concerned about. The second issue has to do with the maintenance of the entrances. I understand that we didn't have an HOA set up. I've heard all kinds of things from all kinds of people, that when the new section goes in and they have an HOA, that money will be taken and it will maintain the entrances. I'm opposed to naming the middle of our plat something else. It is Right Cycle Estates. If you want to call it Right Cycle Estates 2, Right Cycle Estates New Edition, whatever you want to call it. But it is Right Cycle Estates, and it was set up that way. And to take the middle of it and call it something else doesn't seem friendly to me. You know, we're already getting the light poles. Didn't want the light poles. There's not a single person in our plat, except for Mr. Jolly maybe, who wants light poles. Everybody's happy with the dusk to dawn lights at the end of their driveway. Everybody walks their dogs, they bicycle, they walk, they feel safe. And I understand that there's an ordinance, because I spoke with Brian, very, very detailed, back here a few months ago. And he explained to me, I believe it was in 2015, that the code got changed and that light poles have to go in. Okay, I have to live with that. It's okay, I guess. It's not the worst thing in life. It's just the continuation of the feel for what's already there and the people that are already there. And I understand it's been built in several sections. I understand there's been a lot of problems. But I think we're confusing the feel and the maintenance of the entrance areas with the building situation. And to me, those are two separate issues, and they should be looked at separately. I'm not sure what the answer is, but I know that Phillips did a great job. And I know this past year, it looked like we're having a fire sale in our plat. You couldn't even see the statuary. You couldn't even see the bicycles. The weeds were so high. The boulevard looked atrocious. There were weeds in all the cracks all the way down the boulevard. It looked like somebody had put a padlock on the place and just let it sit there. And for somebody to say that there were no violations, I'm not sure how that could be, because it was horrible. It really was. That being said, Mr. Phillips and his crew maintained it probably A+ condition. So we went to A+, from A+ to F. And there's a big drop there. So I don't understand what the city's codes are for maintaining things, and I don't understand if the city, if it's dedicated to the city, if they maintain it, if we maintain it. I'd like to get a better consensus on that. I'd like to know what other plats are doing and how other things have been set up in the past and your plan for the future. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Anyone else care to come to the podium at this time? No?
For or against it?
Pardon?
For it or against it?
Well, tonight is not a public hearing. We had that last meeting. But what we have right now is an opportunity and audience comments to speak on any topic. So if you would like to speak on behalf of the PUD, I would suggest you come up to the podium at this time.
And this will be the only time for public discussion.
Correct, right. Once we
Outside of the other ordinance,
Yeah,
right?
so once we untable ordinance 2022-42, it will go straight to a vote, okay?
My name is Bernard Niederman, address 5618 21st Avenue, Brooklyn, New York 11204. I purchased the property back a year ago to develop this property. In the last year, in the summer, we did every week to 10 days, we did the landscaping, the mowing. I believe that I'm here to make better this community and not make it worse. These people, for the past 20 years, they basically didn't have any development going on to block the front of their properties. So they were thinking that it's gonna stay like that. But from the side, I basically put in time and money and effort and going through the legal code with the civil engineer to get it approved, to build the homes. On my entrances, what I am involved, what I own under my name, I'm responsible to take care of it. I believe there's one entrance coming in on Ovalway, what I believe it's on ODOT's name, ODOT. I believe that one I'm not taking care of. I think they're mixing up. If there would be a problem with the landscaping, like my guy missed it a day or two, I got the city to call me. We took care of it right away after that. There's no way that this property was neglected like they're framing on me that I'm not taking care of the properties. If I want to build not nice homes, I wouldn't hire Michael Jolly to build homes and show them for the community that I'm building single-family, custom brick homes. They came to me saying, oh, I hope you're not building Ryan Homes. I don't even know who Ryan Homes is. I'm not even associated with Ryan Homes. I'm talking to build quality homes and only quality. So for these people going to the news against me, framing me up that the property's looking shitty. I even sit down with this association who basically wanted help and they can't enforce. And I said, I'm here to help them. I'm not against them. They think that I'm their enemies and I'm looking to do anything against them. Not at all. I'm here to work together and I'm here to build a nice community for the people to be safe. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, and one more opportunity, if anyone has not spoken, now's your opportunity to do so. All right, thank you. Before we move on to old business, I need to back up. I apologize to council. We skipped over approval of minutes. Am I right?
Correct.
Yeah. So at this time, I will seek a motion to approve the minutes from the November 10th regular meeting and seek a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Moved by the mayor. Do we
I'll
have a second?
I'll second.
Right here.
Oh, I can, you're right.
I'll second
I
that.
did watch it online.
Yeah, that's okay. All right, I will second that. And if there's no comments, we'll ask for a roll call, please.
Vice President Urschel.
Abstain.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean. Abstain. Councilman Branham.
Abstain.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Smith.
Aye,
Motion carries.
thank you. All right,
Motion didn't carry.
had just a few in attendance last meeting, so.
Motion. There's only 3 ayes.
Was it 2 to table the issue? It's 3.
Three.
Well, you had 3 abstentions?
Yes.
And 3
I
ayes.
believe we wrote in the rules of council that those abstentions don't count.
Don't count
So I
towards the
believe
majority.
Michelle
Okay,
is
you're
right,
Sorry.
that
My
that
apologies.
passes.
Right.
Isn't that not what we did, Michelle?
Yes, under the old rules, we couldn't
Sorry,
do that.
I'll shut up.
So are we
Except-
good?
Right, but I think with a procedural motion like this, that we can pass it with 3.
The abstentions wouldn't count.
Okay, I'm
We
sorry.
clear those out,
So
that
it's
leaves
3-0.
3.
Right.
So it would be 3-0 with 3 abstentions.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So it does pass.
We corrected that in your rules of council.
All right, thank you, Law Director. And now we're moving on to old business. So our first item in old business is ordinance 2022-42. This is approving a major change to the plan unit development concept plan for Right Cycle Estates. This increases the number of planned single-family homes. So at this time, I will seek a motion to untable this item at our last meeting.
So moved.
Moved by the mayor. Do we have a second to untable?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All right, and
Just on table.
this is just to untable the item. So we had only 4 council members at our last meeting, which was a new event. We did barely sought a quorum that night, so we did motion to table this so we could have more council involvement. So we do have 6 out of 7 tonight. So we have a motion and a second. If there's no other discussion, we'll seek a roll call to untable this ordinance.
Vice President Urschel.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Branham.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Smith.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, so next is to actually approve the major change to the plan unit development concept for Right Cycle Estates. This was originally introduced by Councilman Branham at our October 27th meeting. And Councilman Branham, would you,
Yeah, move for introduction.
thank you. So that would be moved for passage.
Or move for passage. Sorry.
And, okay, and so we do have a motion. Do we have a second?
So moved.
Thank you. Seconded by Councilwoman Dean. Any discussion regarding this ordinance? Councilman Scrivens?
Thank you, Mr. President. As the ordinance stands, I probably will not be able to support it. I will be supporting the current occupants of the land and their desires to pursue happiness at that point.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or discussion?
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
So, first I want to thank everybody who's come to give us feedback. And we desperately need that on the council to hear from folks. And just want to let you know, we not only have heard you during the meetings, we've had a lot of discussion as well. And I appreciate the individual came and said, it seems that there's 2 issues, because I really believe there are 2 issues. It seems to be a broad concern from the public and what a lot of folks have called the common area. And so once again, there's only private property in Right Cycle Estates. There isn't any homeowners association. There is no common areas that are commonly owned. And you're right, you had a developer who probably gave you A+ care for some of his private property parcels. But it wasn't mandated to do that. It wasn't dictated by the city. or by the owners to do that. That was his own initiative to do that. I will say, just give you a little bit of background, so I was one of the original property owners in Sterling Green. We did have a homeowners association. We did have some ordinances there within that homeowners association, or rules that we would all contribute to common care of the entrances and those kind of things. So our homeowners association folded after about 8 years, and we had a lot of issues with the entrances and the care to those entrances. And what we came up to as a community was we just got some of the residents to say, hey, we're going to take care of that. And we take care of the sign, we take care of the grass, we take care of the trimming. And it's just not that hard to do that. But if you're looking for somebody else to do that, or if you're looking for the city to manage that, realize that our property code just gives you broad coverage for blight. Okay. Now, one man's blight is not another man's. Okay. And so we don't tell you how to trim bushes. We do say that if you have, trees that have, dead branches hanging over, yeah, that can cause problems or obstructions, we ask you to trim those. If you won't, we'll come out and trim it, and we'll give you an assessment and bill you for it, okay? The mowing, there's a lot of people get irritated with us mowing. We mow a lot of lots in the city, and we assess a lot of folks for that. But go out to the property opposite of Walmart, and you'll notice that they have the 50-foot setback, and it looks like a forest beyond that, because they're only required to do it twice a year. And I'll tell you, if you only mow twice a year, yeah, you will get things that look like a small forest growing up there in between that. Now, maybe we should require more mowing than that, but once again, that applies citywide. Remember, our property development code isn't specific to a particular subdivision. It goes across the entire city. So, and additional requirements that we have on property maintenance would go across the entire city. Not that we couldn't do those kind of things, we could, but I'm just saying, in terms of the current ones, those are where those things are at. So I would encourage folks in your subdivision to be active. If you have concerns about things like that, talk with the property owners. Obviously, you've been talking to us. If you feel that we as a city are not conforming to our current property development code, talk to us on council about that, right? It doesn't stop with the folks in the departments. We're more than willing to hear you out, and we've done this multiple times. We'll go out and take a look ourselves, okay? So all of our phone numbers are listed in the directory there. I got my cell number, Cody's got his, everybody's got our numbers, and we're more than willing to go out and take a look at that and discuss those things too. But realize our code is just from a major blight perspective. It's not from a real fine-tuned property maintenance perspective. And I get it, Bellbrook or Centerville or other cities may have that, and maybe that's one of your recommendations, is that we take a look at that, and we can do that as well too, but that's not what's currently on the books. In terms of the subdivision, I heard folks are concerned, and I get that. We had, a little bit like you, we had one part of Sterling Green was built out, and 2008 happened, and we stopped building. And a couple years ago, we did another major development, and we're getting ready to do a third one as well too. And there's a lot of folks that were in Sterling Green, liked their neighborhood, and were really concerned. I get that. That's a concern about extending that and the feel of your community as well too. But I guess I just would say that as we took a look at what's being recommended, we, at least from our perspective, and some of the folks I've talked to on council, we don't believe it's a major relayout of the community or a very large detraction in terms of your current property size. I really believe that what you're going to be getting there are going to be homes of a quality and a cost that you're going to get additional residents out there that you'll be pleased with. And we were concerned in Sterling Green about who was going to be coming into our neighborhood and where we're going to be going downhill, and we've been really pleased with who's been coming out. And they're roughly equivalent to the ones that we've had. But I guess the issue for us right now isn't property maintenance. That's not what we're voting on. We're voting on some modifications to this, and I agree. Having your entrances look good, does a lot for just for living there, as well as the value of your community, those kind of things. And so I'm not saying you shouldn't pursue that, but realize these aren't public grounds. The city doesn't own those things. If somebody wanted and I'll just tell you, from the city of Xenia perspective, we're not looking to be landowners. We're, a matter of fact, we're trying to divest ourselves of land. We're not looking to acquire additional land. And so we're not necessarily looking to grab more land for us to maintain either at this perspective. But I think there's some good compromises or things to work out. If we required additional things from a property maintenance perspective, that we'd have to go ahead and change our code. That's a new law, but it applies to every citizen in Xenia. And we got a lot of folks that are pretty irritated with us about the things we do right now, the fact that we go mow their yards and cut their trees, and we bill them for it. And we say, that's okay, that's what we're doing right now. We have some private organizations that are willing to come out, actually, and come talk to me if you want to find out about that. We'll actually do some landscaping for you at no cost and do some of those things. So if you'd like to get some help with that, come talk to me and I'll point you in that direction. That may be a solution for you starting next year, okay? We got, I'll just tell you right now, the adult drop-in shelter does the landscaping of the public parking lot number 2 here in town. They do the landscaping of all the flower beds downtown right now, and they're looking for additional places to get their folks to come and work. And they literally will come out every 2 weeks and help you with that if that's something you would desire, at no cost to you. And they do a great job. Just go look at parking lot number 2, look at our flower beds downtown. That's a solution. I'm not saying it's the only solution, but there's some of the things that are available to you. So please feel free to come talk to us about that tonight too.
All right, thank you. Any other comments from council? All right, this time I'll call for the question and we'll seek a roll call, please.
Vice President Urschel.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
No.
Councilwoman Dean. Aye. Councilman Branham.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Smith.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Our next item in old business is ordinance 2022-44. This is titled a public hearing. This is enacting chapter 251 titled Funds of the city's administrative code. So at this time, I'm going to turn the floor over to our city manager.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, our law director, right? Okay, thank you.
2244, the ordinance before you tonight. This was introduced by Councilman Scrivens at the last meeting. This basically is the last piece of the administrative code rewrite. This chapter will go in the finance department chapters. Finance will have chapters 250 through 256. Basically what we've done is we've taken all the existing city funds that are scattered throughout the code or that council maybe approved by resolution, and we've included them all in one chapter. We made updates to the rest of the code as was needed. We tried to consolidate funds where we could to make it easier for the finance director to be able to track and report on all those. A lot of the separate funds we had, they report right now to the auditor as one fund. So it just made sense to do some of that consolidation. So it's part of what staff's been working on all year. Our work's smarter, not harder. So we're trying to, particularly with the updates to the city charter, we're trying to now bring the city code up to date and streamline that as well.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions for the law director regarding these changes? All right, seeing none. At this time, I will open up the public hearing and ask anyone in the audience who would care to speak on this issue regarding Chapter 251 to come to the podium. Give us your name and address for the record. Okay, if anyone in the audience would care to speak against enacting Chapter 251 titled Funds, now's your opportunity to come to the podium and give us your name and address. Okay, seeing no one come forward, this time we will close the public hearing on ordinance 2022-44. And at our last meeting, this was introduced by Councilman Scrivens. Would you care to do so?
Yes, sir. I'd like to move approval, please.
Thank you. Move for passage by Councilman Scrivens. Do we have a second?
Second, please.
Seconded by the mayor. There's no other comments. Seek a roll call, please.
Vice President Urschel.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean. Councilman Branham.
Aye.
Mayor Mays. President Smith.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is new business. Our first item under new business is titled an emergency. This is for ordinance 2022-45, authorizing an execution of a lease agreement with Signature Public Funding Corp. For the purpose of financing a new fire engine and declaring an emergency. So at this time, we'll turn the floor over to Mr. Ryan Duke.
Thank you, President Smith. Back in December of 2020, Council authorized the purchase of a Sutphen fire engine for an amount not to exceed $535,000. It's been almost 2 years, but we are almost ready to take possession of that equipment. So we expect that it would be available for pickup sometime next month. And so the Finance Department has recommended, or is recommending, that we pay for the engine via debt service, a capital lease, which is what we've typically done for these types of or pieces of equipment. We went out and we solicited quotes for financing. We solicited from a whole host of financial institutions. We received 3 responses back. The best response was from Signature Public Funding Corp. At a rate of 4.844%. Over a 5-year period. That would result in annual debt payments of $123,039.12 annually. And so we are requesting tonight that Council authorize via this ordinance execution of this capital lease. We're requesting it as an emergency because the lending institutions will only hold those rates for a short period of time. And so we're requesting that Council authorize that via an emergency tonight.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Duke? That's a 5-year locked-in rate then?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. And if there's no questions, I'll seek a motion to authorize the lease agreement with Signature Public Funding Corp.
So moved as an emergency.
Thank you. Moved as an emergency by the mayor. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Dean. Any other questions? Okay. We'll get a roll call, please.
Vice President Urschel.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean. Councilman Branham.
Aye.
Mayor Mays. President Smith.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And then do we know when we'll get possession of that?
We're expecting it would be ready sometime next month. We haven't got a specific delivery date, but we would plan on trying to execute the lease in the next week or two so that the funding goes into escrow and we have the funds available once it's ready for pickup.
I would add it won't go into service right away. There'll be some additional decaling and equipment
sure.
installation will have to be done, but certainly by first quarter of next year, we should have it fully in service.
Is it going to 1 or 2?
Did it go to
It should go to
31 or
2.
32?
Yeah,
Do
they'll
we get
keep
to
the
test
rescue
drive it?
engine at Station
Ooh,
31.
I like that question. Thank you. She asked if we get to test drive it.
I'm not sure our insurance company would smile on me.
Is that a yes?
Okay, we have a question by
Mr.
Councilman
President.
Scrivens.
Will it be put in service at 31 or
We
32?
put in service at 32, Rescue 31, or excuse me, Engine 31 is our rescue engine, which is the primary, frontline response out of 31, so that'll stay there, and this will go to 32. And then what we do is we take the current 32, that'll be put in
As the
reserve
backup,
status
right.
as a backup, and then that'll allow us
Right, so
to,
capacity.
at some point in the not too distant future, we'll have the opportunity to surplus any of the existing reserve engines that are deemed ready to move on.
Right. Thank you.
All
Thank you,
right.
Mr. President.
All right, thank you. Next item is an introduction, ordinance 2022-46, which is enacting chapter 1028, titled Rights of Way Administration of the City's Streets, Utilities, and Public Service Code. So at this time, we'll turn the floor over to our city manager, Mr. Merriman.
Thank you, sir. Our municipal code has long lacked really well-articulated authority to address accessibility to and maintenance of public rights-of-way for public utilities. This has resulted in very limited ability of our staff to hold utility firms accountable when they do work in rights-of-way, including the maintenance of traffic, how they access that right-of-way, how they leave it, post any work that's done. And we feel that this dynamic is likely to get worse if folks have been following county news. There are a lot of fiber utilities that are poised to install new utilities throughout our community. And so now as much as ever, it is important that we present to council a set of standards for right-of-way administration that would allow staff the ability to work with utility providers, set permitting procedures, and fee schedule for the rights to be able to access these right-of-ways. We can't deny them, but we can regulate them, I think is the key takeaway. City staff has worked through 2022 with really leading legal experts here in the state to develop a comprehensive set of code provisions for right-of-way administration. And again, we've provided these in the ordinance 2022-46 this evening. These new regulations conform to statutory requirements and limitations, and they're really reflective of best practices that we see in other communities around the state presently. As presented, these regulations would give us the ability to manage right-of-way access and maintenance through a robust and predictable permitting process that is still very fair and is something that the utility companies can anticipate on an annual basis. It's not going to be a surprise to them. So we are recommending this for introduction this evening. Be happy to answer any questions. The law director did a lot of work with us in putting these together. But again, we think it's important that this be moved into a place in our code effective for the new year.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Merriman. Any questions for city manager or law director regarding this item?
Just like to compliment the staff. This is like an exhaustive work here. This is a year's worth of work, really, in about 10 or 15 sheets here. So, thank you, guys.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? All right, who would care to introduce this tonight?
I'll introduce.
Thank you. Introduced by the Vice President. Our next item under new business is Resolution 2022-UU, which is authorizing the execution of an agreement with Greene County Board of Commissioners for the release of delinquent real estate taxes on forfeited residential property. So at this time, we'll turn the floor over to the law director.
Good evening. What we are asking for when a property goes through the tax foreclosure process, meaning they're delinquent on the payment of their property taxes and the county prosecutor's office files a foreclosure because of that. When a property goes through that process, it's offered at sheriff's sale at least twice. That property is not sold. The court is then required under state statute to offer that property to the city for forfeiture. When we take a property by forfeiture, we have to pay all those outstanding property taxes. So the past practice has been, and this was probably before any of the three of us, letters were sent to the individual taxing authorities asking them to waive taxes. So you're talking 15, 16 letters. You wait to try and get all those back. You have to file those with the county auditor. He then adjusts the numbers. Well, the Greene County Commissioners have started doing, and I have to commend the County Administrator, Prosecutor's Office, and the board for taking this step. They are willing to do agreements. I know with some communities, they're doing them on an individual basis. I had a conversation with the county administrator about doing a master agreement. This would address only delinquent residential properties that are up for forfeiture. If it was a commercial or industrial, which I can say in my 5 years here, I haven't seen a tax foreclosure on a commercial or industrial. But that would be addressed individually, wouldn't be covered under this agreement. We would address that separately with the county commissioners. But what this agreement will allow us to do is streamline the process. If we have a residential property that's being offered to us for forfeiture, the county administrator will have the authority under this agreement to sign off and waive taxes for all the tax levies that the county puts on. Which includes council for aging, the health department, the hospital. So rather than 15, 20 separate letters, it's just one request to the county. So this should expedite the process of how we're getting forfeitures done. I did speak with the Miss Stout. She's the civil division chief at the county prosecutor's office. Once I notify her that council has approved this, if you approve it, then the Board of County Commissioners will put it on their agenda for approval as well.
Great.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions for Law Director tonight?
Mr. President, so anyways, tonight I'm going to commend you on this because our hope is that the prosecutor will be pursuing quite a number of residential properties that have been outstanding, which had not been pursued over the last 15 years. And this will really help streamline that process.
Yes.
But we will have to do a separate agreement with the schools and any
The
board
school
that's outside
typically
of the
does
commissioners.
not agree to waive their taxes.
Does this include bridges, the bridges taxes as well? Is that under the county commissioners?
I'm sorry, who's?
We have a tax levy on bridges from the county engineer. Is that separate? Because I didn't see that listed here.
That is covered. If you look at, it is the third paragraph under the recitals. That lists all the tax levies which the county commissioners have authorities over.
Okay,
And you will
it's
see
there. Got it.
Green County Bridges
Sure.
is included.
Great. So, this is wonderful. I'm hoping that this will help expedite getting a number of these properties that have just been blight in our community moving out. So, thank you.
All right, anyone else? All right. At this time, we'll seek a motion. Moved by the mayor. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by the vice president. If there's no other questions, we'll get a roll call, please.
Vice President Urschel.
Aye.
Councilman Scriven.
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean. Councilman Branham.
Aye.
Mayor Mays. President Smith.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is opportunity for appointed officials reports. At this time, we'll seek a report from our law director.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Anything else?
Thank you.
All right. Anyone have anything for the law director tonight? All right. Moving on to our finance director, Mr. Duke.
I have nothing else for you this evening either.
Okay. Anyone have anything for Mr. Duke tonight? And then,
I guess,
yeah.
one comment. So I just wanted to commend Ryan. I've spent a lot of time on the current budget proposal and had a lot of questions for Ryan, and you spent a lot of time answering those very well. So thank you so much for all that background information.
Sure. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. All right. I guess you're off the hook. And then, Mr. Merriman.
Of course, I have something. Just a couple items. First, I want to remind the public that we will be closed for Thanksgiving this Thursday and Friday. So if you have municipal business with folks here at the City Administration Building or at the Justice Center, please make sure you're taking care of that tomorrow. We will again reopen next Monday for regular hours. We want to remind folks that our Christmas Station community Christmas event is scheduled for December 2nd from 4 to 9 p.m. Please check out social media or our website for all the details. We are expecting a very robust crowd, and the 10-day forecast right now is looking like pretty decent weather for us. So we're hopeful for a good turnout that night. And finally, just want to request of council that we exercise under item 11 this evening, an executive session briefly afterward. The purpose would be to discuss personnel matters.
Thank you. Anyone have anything for the city manager tonight? All right, thank you very much. So moving on to council comments and reports. I guess we'll start this time with Mr. Branham.
Just want to commend public service or public service staff on leaf cleanup. They've made their first round, and I know that they're going to be coming out again after Thanksgiving. So, thanks for them.
Yep, I agree. Anything for Mr. Council Branham? Nope. All right, thank you, sir. Glad to have you tonight, and we'll go with Councilwoman Dean.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
All right, thank you. Anyone have anything for Councilwoman Dean tonight? All right, glad to have you tonight. Councilman Scrivens.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a few things. Steelers took it on the chin there the other day by the Bengals, but that's the way it is in the AFC North, you know. We win a few million, lose a few thousand, so.
Yeah, we won't.
So wait until next week. Definitely want to thank the fellows with the leaf collection. The wind did its job disseminating the leaves really good, so. But so far I kind of did a survey of the storm drains, and there's a few of them that's still backed up. But, all in all, I was pretty impressed with the first round of leaf collection. The holiday lights, very impressed with that. They're holiday lights until after Thursday, then they become Christmas lights. So, and finally, Mr. President, just wanted to give our condolences out to Mr. Wilbur Damer. I don't know if you know who he is. He lives on East 2nd Street there, and he operated the turquoise buses. We used to call them back when I was undergraduate at Central State, the Homer Johnson. He had the license initially to do the taxi cab bus service, and then Mr. Damer bought it from him. So, but he's gone on to his final reward. He came down here not too long ago for an event we had here on the 2nd floor, and he was on his walking device there. So, just say thank you, Mr. Wilbur Damer. You did a lot for all of the students at Central State who didn't have transportation, that you took them back and forth from the university to town here so they could make things happen. So you're not forgotten by a long shot. Thank you, Mr. President. Oh, and everybody, have a happy Thanksgiving, and remember what we're thankful for. And we only have what we ask for, so we have to ask for it. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Mayor Mays.
Thank you. A couple of events I attended, just a few. Legacy had a Veterans Day event that I had mentioned. I was able to go to that and do a welcome on behalf of the city. And it was really nice to, the presentation was beautiful with the veterans there and retiring one of the flags and passing that on to their oldest veteran. He's 90, I believe he's 93. And then attended a ribbon cutting at Wilberforce University for their new music room for Sound of the Hound, the marching band. They've done a great job. They just started the marching band this last year and got that back up and running, and they did a fantastic job. On the 16th, we had an event with the Greene County DD. We did a Snacks with the Mayor evening, and we hung out at Four Oaks, and we had Little Debbie snacks. That's the best kind of event to attend. And that's really all we did for the last week and a half. Are you going to mention the Blue Christmas service?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So that's all I have. Happy Thanksgiving. Oh, the Thanksgiving meal. Yeah, I'm happy to talk about that. On Thanksgiving Day, / my birthday, there is a free meal that is going to be at the Schindler Banquet Center, and they are cooking the meal. It's available 11 to 1, and there's no requirement. Just show up and enjoy the meal. They do a fantastic job. Homemade mashed potatoes and stuffing and all the trimmings. The city is gracious enough to provide pies. The employees donate money and actual homemade pies, and so that's something that the employees do here out of pocket and out of generosity. It's wonderful. The Xenia Area Association of Churches and Ministries, they also help volunteer but also donate funding for that. WGC does a huge fundraiser, their turkey shoot, where they raise money for this event, but they also handed out I want to say several cases of turkeys with the Fish Food Pantry last week. So it really is a community effort. And then with AIA, Athletes in Action, hosting the event and doing the cooking, it's a great community event. There'll be somebody there. Bob Colliner will be there playing the piano and just providing some entertainment. So it's a very warm and festive afternoon. If you aren't able to actually go and get a meal, meals can be delivered. You can contact the city clerk's office, would probably be the easiest way right now, but Amanda Dunaway is the one who's coordinating the meal deliveries. We can put you in touch with her, give you her email or her phone number. So if you do need a meal delivered to you, you're not able to leave your home, we absolutely can do that and make sure that you have something to eat on Thanksgiving. And if you're interested in volunteering, Amanda's also the person to talk to. So there's always room for volunteers. What am I missing?
The flyer is actually on our calendar event on our website.
Fantastic. It has all the contact information you need. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mayor Mays, and appreciate how busy you are, everything that you do for the city. We'll go ahead and turn the floor over to Vice President Urschel.
Yeah, two items. First, we just want to commend the folks at Reverend Coddington and Reverend Shoko, two of our pastors here in town. They have an annual event that they call the Blue Christmas Service, and you know, for a lot of folks, Christmas is a time to get together with family and celebration of, for many of us, the birth of Christ, and great time for exchanging gifts and those kind of things. But for a lot of folks, this is just a time of grieving as well too, and it's a very hard time of year, and it's hard to be in the middle of that celebration when you're grieving. And their two churches have a service they call a Blue Christmas service. And it's really is an opportunity for you to go and feel free to grieve during that time. Maybe a loss of a loved one, just a loss of some hopes that you had in life. I attended this last year, their service, and it was done extremely well. And I just want to let the mayor know they've rescheduled that to the 21st of this month. I just got a note from Bill, so on Wednesday.
But there's the faith community one on the 4th.
Right, so there's actually gonna be 2 of these services. One with the Evangelical Lutheran Church will be on the 21st, but there'll be one on the afternoon of Sunday, the 4th of December, and that one's hosted by Faith Community. And Pastor Andy out there does a wonderful job as well too. So I would just encourage you that if this is a time of year that you're struggling with things, to take advantage of one of these 2 services, either at Faith United Methodist on the 4th at 2:30 or on the 21st. And there'll be more information about the one on the 21st. But I went to both of those services last year, and they were just very refreshing. One other thing I would just like to mention that we've had some discussions with the YMCA about gender identity, and they've put out a specific position that is required. Their current actions are required by state law and by the Ohio Civil Rights Commission. I won't go over their specific response to us on that. I just want to let you know I've had some discussion with the law director to understand whether that's in case their interpretation is true, because if it is true, that would apply to us from a municipality perspective as well too, for public accommodations in our restrooms and our parks. And so I've asked our law director to do some more research on that and also talk to our public prosecutor, David Hayes. David does have the ability to go to the Attorney General and get a formal opinion from the Attorney General on this, and we do not as a municipality have that right to request that, but the public prosecutors do of each county. And so we're going to be engaging with David Hayes as our public prosecutor, not only in terms of his understanding of this, but also to see if he believes that we need to pursue a specific opinion from the Attorney General's office, which he has the right to request. And we would do that specifically for us as a municipality, but this is a concern also for other public accommodations at the county level and for other municipalities as well too. So more to come on that, but just wanted to let you know we have had some engagement on that. Yeah, that's all I've got for tonight.
All right, thank you very much. So a reminder for those watching, happy Thanksgiving on Thursday, and be careful out on the streets the next day. Black Friday traffic gets a little crazy. Reminder, we have the holiday festival on Friday the 2nd. Did you mention that?
Brent did.
You did? Okay. And a Christmas at the station, thank you. So looking forward to that activity here. So at this time, council is going to move into an executive session. This is regarding personnel matters per ORC 121.22. We do not know how long this will take us. Could be brief, could be medium, not very extensive. However, we do not plan to come back and conduct business afterwards. So we will not adjourn at this time. However, I will take a motion to move into executive session.
And specifically for the appointment of a public official.
Okay, thank you very much. Do I have that motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by the mayor. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Dean. Can I get a roll call, please?
Vice President Herschel.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean. Councilman Branham.
Aye.
Mayor Mays. President Smith.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.